What do you think about the RB19? I mean, it really feels like they stepped out of their comfort zone with this one.
That's good chat. Good chat. I'm like, I get it, but I'm also, and whether I work for Red Bull or not, I do think the livery is really nice. Like, I think it's a really beautiful car. Okay, because they've had it now for quite a few years. People are like, oh, can we see something different? But the fact is, it's still it's kind of iconic now, and it's what they won in. So you also have the approach of, well, consistency, and if we're winning, don't change it. So can't hate on that.
I hear you. Are you going?
What would you do?
Don't ask me that. I think it's beautiful, but I did think that maybe there would be like a smidge difference.
But Katie, you can enter the competition now.
I can, right? Actually in the US races. I can design.
Yep.
Are you an artist?
No.
Okay.
I'm a visionary.
Oh, but I love that. Good response.
Although you say that, but the race helmets you've had for the last few years have always stood out pretty well. So I feel like you could, you could have a good crack.
Some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
On Shantae.
Yeah.
On Shantae.
Nice. There's plugs everywhere, left, right, and centre. I love it. That's great.
In your return to Red Bull, have you seen any differences just being around for the last few months?
I mean, the factory, like, they own pretty much all of Milton Keynes right now. Like, they've expanded. So when I walked in, I was like, okay, wow, this has come a long way since end of 18. So that was more, I was just like, all right, like, you kind of see it, and then I'm like, all right, it's no surprise they've just won the championship. Like, they're all in, and that's kind of cool. And it just shows, like, the level. Like, this sport is the most wild sport in the world, where it's just you can't rest, you can't get complacent. And I know that's the case with a lot of sports, but just the way, like, it evolves, the development, all the technology, it's just still blows my mind. I don't understand it. Like, I feel like driving is kind of the easy part because I don't understand much else.
But you have such an interesting vantage point, I think, because you obviously were part of their second rise. And then you left, and so then you got to see it from a different side. You know, last season, watching kind of their dominance in a lot of ways, what was that like? What did you notice as a competitor?
So there was a lot of things I saw which were always there, and as soon as I saw they started to get that momentum, I was like, no one's going to touch them. They're winners. They're such a competitive group, you know, like the mechanics are all psychos. They'll work till like 2 a.m. and then run 5 laps of the track. And I'm just like, they're all just so competitive. And that environment is pretty dangerous when they start to get the ball rolling.
And they kept, people have left and have joined, but the core of that team has kind of stayed the same. You know, Christian's still there. And you see, I mean, like Ferrari's just changed team boss, and you see in some sports a very reactive kind of way of dealing with, you know, success or failure. So I feel like Red Bull now, they had all that stuff in place, like you said, and now that they've got to this point where they're winning, it's like, well, we didn't change anything from when we were winning before. So it shows you that continuity in sport sometimes is just so invaluable. Yeah,
it is. And there's always, you know, I say always, there's certainly times, you know, that urge to, you know, I speak for myself, go and try something different and go somewhere else and learn something new. But you know, then it's there is also value in just a familiar environment and consistency, as you say. So, I mean, look, I know no one's ever going to have it easy, but I think they're going to be hard to beat for the next few years at least. You know, I think they'll go on a bit of a run.
And with Ford coming as well, you know, building their own powertrains, which they've been planning to do. That's just like completing the whole set, isn't it? I mean, it's almost too much. How do you compete against that? And all on one campus as well, which they make a big thing about, rather than splitting the engine project from the chassis project.
Yeah, I know that's really big for them. All being on one campus, as you say, like that's huge. And because also like time is money in this sport, you know, and it's time is performance, it's everything. So any ability to shorten a window, so to speak, is really valuable. And like I have a Ford Raptor, and I know how damn quick that thing is. So I'm just like, what's going to happen in 2026? You know, 3 more years of developing a Raptor. That's a lot of power that's going to go in the back of this car.
Is that, have you already asked Jim Farley if that can be the case on yours? He can mod it for 3 years straight. Just just going back to the team, I mean, you were with Max as a teammate in 2018, and Max back then was kind of a fascinating driver because he clearly had the speed, but there was a lot of up and downs with him. And what we've seen in the last couple of years is, especially last year, I mean, it was almost flawless. He was out in front, a bit like what Lewis did with Mercedes, just kind of like he got out in front, didn't make any mistakes. What have you seen kind of change in him? Has it just been he's just got a bit older, he's got more experience? Because on the outside, he himself doesn't seem to have changed much, but the way he drives is, he's much more, maybe not as calm as you might say other drivers are, but he's found a way to harness that aggression into the way he races now. Would that be? Do you think that's fair?
Absolutely,
fair
absolutely. Yeah, as you see, like the person is unchanged. He's more mature. Like he's just growing as everyone does. He's not 21 anymore. He's mid-20s, and but it's more like and I feel like it was already happening in 2018.
Yeah.
I remember the first maybe 5-6 rounds every weekend. He had something like there was a unforced error. And then his second half of the season, it was just like he turned it around and obviously gave himself a little bit of a talking to or whatever, and that's where it really started to kick off. And it was just really minimizing the mistakes, and as you say, the speed was always there. I mean, he won his first ever race with Red Bull, so that was always let's say undeniable. It was just completing himself as a driver, but that's all. That's going to happen over time, and you mature, as you say, you learn as well. So, but he's obviously just running on such a level now, and his confidence is sky high, and he's pretty unfazed by most things. So he just gets on and gets the job done. So yeah, he's tough to beat. Going to be tough to beat this year.
Is it exciting that you can start to benchmark yourself against them a little bit again? Because you would have seen exactly what you could do back then, but now you can get in the simulator and be like, oh, Max does this, Max does that. Is that kind of a useful thing to have?
It's I mean, currently he's the best reference, but also for me as a reference of what was a competitive teammate rivalry between us. That's where I'm also like curious to see where I currently kind of stand, and I remember things about his like driving style and what he would do. So also now to see all the data and kind of understand, is he just a refined version, or has he changed some things along the way over the last few years? So all this stuff, it's kind of cool because I can see it all, but it's kind of like at a distance. I can get as deep into it as I want, and then do probably as much simulator as I want till I drive myself dizzy.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.